I want to do a video on Carl Jung's Narcissus spectrum. Once again, there's the trickster narcissist, which is, I think I'm one of those. He kind of just ignores the trickster narcissist, which, cool. He doesn't consider them a threat, so I guess I'm not a threat. Weird, but not a threat. But the other narcissist is interesting. I guess the malignant type and other types, because he argues that they are the shadow self. And I say, why not? And you're about to figure out why. Because I had the theory that emotionally stunted is the unconscious mind leading. Which we're going to read the emotionally stunted again. Chronic self-absorbed, self-preoccupied behavior. They think of themselves first. Limited lack of empathy. Complete lack of empathy. Lack of guilt or remorse. Disregard for your well-being, safety, and those you love. They do what feels best, they do not learn from past mistakes, and continue to repeat behaviors that has negative consequences. Lack of self-reflection, inability to take your perspective, stand in your shoes. History of conflict and drama in relationships. History of denying reality due to effective realism. Reality is what it feels like versus what it is. History of distorting reality, making up new narratives about situations to deal with it. History of impulsive behavior, more feeling than thinking, so they do what feels best. Enmeshment in relationships instead of emotional intimacy, may focus on physical things versus emotional. They do not do emotional work. They do not know how to repair relationships effectively. Emotionally stunted. That is every narcissist you know. Don't let them fool you. They know how to pretend to be civil. Now, here is my theory. The shadow self are a bunch of traits that you reject for various reasons. One, societal norms, but for other reasons also you may reject these traits. Those traits are rejected, therefore they are abandoned. The narcissist is deeply intertwined with abandonment issues, as it stems from childhood where person experienced evaluation, neglect, or attachment trauma, leading to the core fear of abandonment. This fear manifests as intense reactions such as rage, devaluation of others when a relationship ends, or even during a minor separation, and it drives their manipulative tactics to control others and avoid feeling vulnerable and alone. Childhood trauma, attachment issues. Let's get into childhood trauma. A significant fear of abandonment is often found at the core of the narcissistic personality, linked to experiences of being devalued or neglected or discarded by primary caregiver. Attachment issues. Narcissistic individuals struggle with attachment, frequently exhibiting anxious, avoidant, or disorganized patterns in relationships, which makes it hypersensitive to separation and rejection. Lack of genuine connection. Narcissistic parents often cannot provide genuine connecting intimacy, fostering a sense of abandonment and distrust in their children. Narcissism. Beautiful. Where does the fear of abandonment come from if your parents are still there? Where does the fear of abandonment come from, in general? Now, one, the external validation is the opposing side. They need people to like them. And when you abandon them or reject them. And I bring this up because Stu got really upset when I said I didn't like him. And the same thing happened with Officer Fred. Same thing happened with Gannon. And they do a kind of manipulation where they approach you, where they're like, there's these guys, and it's always disassociative. It says disassociative, dude. I'm going to just say, one of these people, to manipulate me into saying what they wanted, started talking about fruitcakes. Yes, started talking about fruitcakes, and was trying to get me to agree that one of the fruitcakes was better than the other one. And then once I agreed to that, they were like, manipulated him into agreeing with me. Like, okay. That is how fragile they are. They are, like glass. Or, glass is actually pretty durable. They're worse than glass. They're like old eggshells or something. I don't know. But Anal-eating Mummy God lost his mind when I said I wished you guys would just leave me alone. And he was like, what? And I remember the complete freak out because it's abandonment. And the shadow self is something that is abandoned. And what does it do? It kind of acts out of spite. It kind of does things to get back at you for abandoning it. And even if it's pissing you off and it goading you into attacking it and beating it, that's all its game, because it doesn't feel like it deserves to be abandoned. Yeah. And it's kind of sad, really, when you think about it. And I would even imagine even Blondie and me doing these videos about how I want to beat his ass. In his mind, he's like, why does he want to do that? I only did a bunch of horrible things. Like, he doesn't have introspective. And that's the other side. So a narcissist can't understand why you want to abandon them, because they don't have introspective. They can't sit down and go, that was really stupid. Okay? Like you or I. Those parts are missing. Grandiose self, yes, there's a series of skills they can't do, but for some reason they think they're superior. When Carl Jung explained that, a lot of things kind of moved into place, especially dealing with my own shadow self. I still need to make my chart of mine, by the way. I'm probably not going to share that with you people, but let's just the problem with removing the conscious mind. I realize I keep doing this in my videos where I get words fucking backwards for some reason when I'm watching my videos and I'm reviewing them. I realize I keep saying unconscious and conscious, and I keep getting things twisted. It's probably neurological. So when you remove the conscious mind from the unconscious mind, the conscious mind is kind of a mediator. It is integral to the process, because it is the thing that enables the unconscious mind to interact with reality. It is the portal or vortex. They remove that, and then what happens? Well, you have a person, and this even came up, the wives explaining to me. Basically, when they create the shadow cells, part of the grooming process for their narcissist, the malignant narcissist, is they basically, when they're kids, is abuse them in a way that they reject specific traits that they deem to be the ones for the malignant narcissist. And then they remove the conscious mind and then just go with the narcissistic mind, the unconscious mind, which is the shadow self. So these traits are in there, but what you're left with when you do that to a human mind is a incomplete person. This is why they can't seemingly do normal things like process emotions. This is why they need a cue to know when to laugh. They don't actually know how to connect with people. It's not there. If you watched the last video, I suggested watching the Lemon Grab video and the Lemon Hope video. Those kind of put it all into perspective about neglect, and it is neglect to some extent, because you're not helping this creature develop properly. You've decided that you know a better way, and these people believe what they're told when they're kids. You're not going to convince Blondie he's somehow inferior because he needs the superiority or else he'll kill himself. And that's everybody else's problem for some reason. Or any other church member. Of that, for that matter. Now, I don't know if it's possible to have somebody develop a conscious mind, but I would argue the first step to this would be chelation therapy, getting that lead out of there to get the neurons back, and then I repair Legos, believe it or not. There's a Salvation Army down the road. And there are these always fucked up Legos that get left out there, so I use a heat gun and a screwdriver, and I melt the Legos, and I bend them back into place to reshape them into the forms they once were. And things, when you add heat to them, tend to bounce back to their former form. You can even remove dents with them, not all the time, but some of the time. And I think that's just the natural state, and I'm pretty sure what their brains want is to desperately be back into a natural state. To say, how would you explain, anyways, the shadow self is a series of things that normal people deem unworthy, and then it festers and turns into something it's not. in the dark reaches of your mind. And then the ego death removes the wall you put up. The ego's kind of a wall to stop you from seeing yourself as you truly are. It is a false mirror, I guess. A kind of I don't know why on earth you actually need one of those in the human brain to stop it from seeing its own self, giving itself introspective. I can tell you from meeting a lot of people need to just sit down in a room quietly with themselves and think about what they did. Your dog has introspective. It sits down and thinks about all the mistakes it made, okay? Like, if you have a dog, that's what it do, alright? This, yeah, and the shadow self doesn't have introspective. So everything is everybody else's fault. It has no agency, it has no accountability, because those aren't a part of it to begin with. Those all come with consciousness. Consciousness is I'm here, I exist, I do things. In their brain, they just do things, and then that's what happens. So when you're like, oh, I don't want you in my life anymore, you're a piece of shit, they go, what do I do? And you wave and you look, and it just shows like a field of dead people, and they're like, oh. And this shit even feeds into the lemon grab stuff when he's in people's rooms just watching them, because he doesn't have sympathy or empathy. He doesn't have any of the other forms to connect with people in a meaningful way. They're not there. Those when I describe it, I used to describe it with, I'd be talking to girls, and this would happen with a lot of girls, where they would approach me, and there's like an like I always describe it like people have an inlet and outlet for emotional and for empathy and sympathy, and you just plug your plug into it, and then you're communicating with them. And I didn't have that plug, so people would just start stabbing me with the thing and going, where's the plug? Where's the empathy? Where's the sympathy? And I lack guilt or remorse for a lot of my actions, believe it or not. In case you can't tell from my videos, I don't believe that inherently makes me an evil person, but I think it increases my capacity for apathetic behaviors. Yeah. So to people, I'm kind of a piece of shit because I simply don't feel bad about what I did. I do recognize wrongdoing. I can do that. But this isn't about me. This is about them. And they don't have sympathy or empathy. They're not a part of their minds. Even in their made-up language, that's not part of it. And you could argue their language is the language of Narcissus because it's literally formulated to be liquid and alter and change like the way a narcissist would. So in I guess coherent, smooth thought, in a nutshell, the narcissist is the shadow self, all the rejected parts of a person that they deemed unworthy. Those parts desperately want to prove their worthiness, so this is where insecurity comes in, and they constantly have to prove to everybody they can do things. When you tell them they can't do things, they have to do them. And it's has a complete and utter fear of abandonment. Because it was abandoned. And it was abandoned by its own conscious mind. Its own conscious mind said, you're not good enough. Get out of here. And, I mean, I guess that sucks in life. Like, as I'm going through whatever I'm going through, my own spiritual things, one of the things I coldly have to realize as a human being is there's a world out there I can't control, and these people do something like control. I don't know what you can call it, because once again, when they fail, they murder the people so they don't have to admit they failed. That's how fragile they are. So even you're being soft they're the softest people on the planet because they overreact to everything. Everything's backwards with them because their minds are backwards. The unconscious mind is not designed to be doing what these people's unconscious minds do. And even this gets into narcissistic serial killers. I think part of murdering women is the fear of abandonment, the fear of being rejected, the fear of finding out they're freaks, like they're monsters, and they don't want that rejection, and that rejection's the worst thing on the planet. They can't handle being rejected. It drives them insane, and they have to make you accept them, if it's through force, if it's through threats, if it's through murder, if it's through killing, if it's through making up new histories, effective realism, if it's through completely changing reality and changing the narrative and twisting everything, no matter what. They run from the fact that they're terrified of abandonment, and that is just genuinely sad. Daddy didn't think they were good enough, mommy didn't think they were good enough. Like, yeah. I think that's where we're gonna close with this. This was kind of a ranty rant, but I think I saved it at the end. Yeah. So, yeah, the emotionally stunted shadow self is what a narcissist is, and it is the parts that are rejected by a person, so therefore it has abandonment issues. This could be very complex for a narcissist to understand, so you probably shouldn't waste your time showing them this video. They're not smart enough to understand it.